Have you ever been ghosted so badly, people joke the aliens got you? That's kinda what happened with some ancient cities. Here's showing up at Angkor, which was once the biggest city anywhere. Now it's just empty temples and a bunch of monkeys running around. Or think about the Maya. Their giant monuments told stories for hundreds of years, and then suddenly, nobody's carving anything. It's like someone just cut the cable to their history. In the Indus Valley, people just stopped using their writing, almost like everyone agreed to never write it again. The old Norse churches in Greenland still stand, but no one shovels snow or comes to pray anymore. Some Mesopotamian towns are now just big piles of dirt, hiding their secrets underneath. Here's what's wild. None of these cities got blown up from outer space. No aliens landed. There was no huge world-ending disaster. So how does a whole group of people just stop and disappear, one small step at a time, because of things like too much rain, trade trouble, or a stubborn ruler? Today, I'm following how these dominoes fell, step by step, with my stickman circuit board for civilizations. We're not just listing names. I'm going to send shockwaves through the story and show exactly when and how things fell apart. Ready to watch some world building, but backwards? Let's try making a stickman civilization. Pretend you have a marker and let's draw it out super simple. First, you need the weather to help so your crops can grow. That means you really need water. It can come from a river or rain. If you have water, then your farmers can plant seeds, and pretty soon, food starts growing. If all goes well, you have more food than people can eat. That's called a surplus. When that happens, some farmers don't have to spend all day in the fields. They can do other things instead, like inventing beer or even taxes. The extra food gets saved in big storage buildings called granaries. The government or the bossiest stickman takes some as a tax. Now, whoever has those granaries holds the power. They can use the extra food to pay for bodyguards or even build giant statues of themselves to show off. The more surplus you have, the safer you are, because now you can hire soldiers to protect everyone and fix broken roads. Next, with extra food, your stickmen can trade with their neighbors for cool things like shiny tools, metal, or tasty treats. The whole thing sticks together because everyone agrees. The big boss stickman knows what he's doing. Here's a quick reminder: water gets you food. Food makes a surplus. Surplus means power. Power lets you trade for things. Trade helps you buy security, and good security brings more chances for water. Each part depends on the next. If something goes wrong, like if it stops raining, the whole thing can fall apart quickly. People can end up in debt, canals might get salty, soldiers could want more pay, and priests might get stuck doing the same old job. If your water runs dry, everything else starts failing. First goes the surplus, then the money, and then all the things that keep people safe. Okay, now let's see what happens when the rain just stops. This is the Akkadian Empire in 2200 BCE. Picture a huge group chat, but everyone's writing messages in clay. They have big cities, canals for water, and trade routes going to places like Maluha with names that sound fake. Then the 4.2K event hits. That just means a giant drought that sticks around for years and years. It gets so dry in places like Tel Leland that archaeologists found a thick dust layer with no sign of people living there. That's a giant warning sign something's very wrong. The farms that count on rain fail first. Up north, fields dry out, so people have to leave their homes and look for food somewhere else. Now tons of hungry families crowd into the main cities, kind of like when all your snacks end up in the fridge during a blackout. Grain gets super expensive. The leaders can't collect taxes because no food means nothing to tax. The workers who dig the canals, they don't get paid. Soldiers go without food and start getting angry. With less care, the canals break down. Salty ground wrecks the last few crops. No pay means the army can't protect traders, so merchants carrying things like tin or lapis just stop showing up. Trading slows way down. Less food and less stuff to buy makes everyone upset. Now the Gutians, tough groups living in the mountains, show up and cause trouble. Provinces start to break away. Empire control falls apart, and cities get smaller like a sweater shrinking in the wash. The empire doesn't totally disappear, but it changes a lot. The old empire falls apart and smaller kingdoms pop up, waiting for the next big boss city to try again. Let's look at how things fall apart when the rain stops. The farms out on the edges of the land lose crops first. When those fields fail, hungry people have to leave and head to the cities. Now the cities can't feed everyone, so their food supplies run out fast. The city guards and police can't keep control either. Bread and beer cost way more, but the government gets less and less money from taxes. That means the people who guard the city or fix things are not getting paid. With prices going up and pay going down, everything falls apart even faster. Leaders try one last trick. They pull more water from salty land to get another harvest. But that ruins the soil for years. Later on, there will be even less food. Good job, ancient leaders. Let's go east to the Indus Valley, where stickman city leaders really care about neat rows and having working toilets before most people thought of it. Here, everything is tidy and organized. The streets are straight, their writing system is a mystery, and they put their stamps on pretty much everything. But then the monsoon starts getting weaker, and the Gagar River, which everyone depended on, changes course. It's like your best friend stops hanging out because you forgot their birthday year after year. Less water means smaller crops. Some port towns end up stuck far from the river, while the land further back dries out. Problems show up in the markets first. The whole way they do business depends on special weights and fancy seals. That system only works if there's enough food to go around and extra stuff to trade. Now harvests are smaller, trade with Mesopotamia slows down, and the leaders can't hand out cool stuff at their big parties. Toilets stop getting cleaned, city workers leave, and craft shops move to smaller villages. Families start leaving, walking east to the Ganges, where it still rains a lot. People stop making fancy seals because nobody cares about stamping clay seals when they're packing up their homes. This collapse doesn't happen all at once. It's more like neighborhoods slowly empty out over time. The people and their cows just move somewhere wetter. Later, they tell their grandkids stories about how things were before everything was in alphabetical order. Trade isn't just about showing off. It's how a busy city keeps running. Rich people turn things like beads, rare shells, and big parties into trust, so everyone keeps doing their jobs and wants to stick around. Stops, all those prizes go away. Your boss goes from handing you real money to just giving pep talks. People start to wonder what's going on, stop paying taxes, and city work falls behind. Nobody trusts each other, crime picks up, and trade just gets worse. Trade looks fun and fancy at first, but if it breaks, there's quiet trouble just waiting for you. Go to the rainforest and meet the Maya people. These rulers love corn, keep close track of time with calendars, and dress up as their gods in some wild outfits. For a long time, Maya kings claim they control the rain, so when it pours, they take the credit. Things start to go wrong. From 800 to 930 CE, there's a stretch of drought, and their fields don't grow enough corn. Water in the lowlands runs out fast. Now the royals are stressed because everyone expects them to make it rain, and yes, they have to wear those costumes. When the crops fail, kings make people pay more taxes and start more wars to prove the gods are still on their side. But fighting makes things even tougher. Regular people can't grow or move food safely. No one trusts their neighbor, and you can't move your grain without getting robbed. It's easy to see. Building stops, and instead, you see more talk about brave battles and way more human sacrifices than anyone really wants. But these things don't help fix the farms. So, people just start leaving. They look for safer places up north or in the hills. Cities empty out, with the countryside being the first to go. You can even see signs of hunger in their bones that are left behind. There isn't some huge cultural wipeout. The big cities just lose power and people move on, building new lives somewhere else. And the Maya keep going, just in different places. This is how they survive, by moving step by step. Here's how the cycle goes. The king is supposed to bring rain, but when that doesn't happen, everyone starts worrying. The rulers try to fix it with bigger and bigger ceremonies. They make more sacrifices and start more wars. All of that takes money, but when there's no rain, there isn't much to go around. Taxes go up, rules get tougher, and soldiers fill the streets. The roads turn unsafe, traders stop coming, and farmers hide their crops so they don't have to hand them over. When staying means you might lose your food and even your kid, people pack up and leave. The city empties out pretty quickly. Grab your longboat and head north. Norse Greenland was like the first work-from-home spot, but if the food deliveries stopped, you were in real trouble. Vikings moved into Greenland around 985 CE. They built small grassy churches and shipped walrus tusks and sealskins back to Europe. Then the weather changed. The Little Ice Age hit, and the cold turned everything up to max. Ice filled the bays. Each year, there was less time when ships could get through. Things get worse. Europe starts buying ivory from somewhere else, and then the Black Death hits. The people in Europe who wanted Greenland goods either died or had bigger problems. Now the colony needs to bring in iron, wood, and even some food, but ships hardly ever make it now. Still, the church demands taxes, and the town leaders want their fees, so families kill their last cows just to pay up. Here's what's strange. The Norse don't start living like the Inuit neighbors, even though the Inuit way clearly works. They don't fish or eat walrus like them. Social rules won't budge. When the last people disappear, the churches stay, full of empty seats that never get filled again. Maybe only stickman ghosts show up now. Angkor was huge, flashy, and built around one big idea. If you control water, you win. Their water system was strong enough to fill giant pools or wash a whole herd of elephants. But then, in the 1300s and 1400s, there were long, harsh droughts. The years in between were even crazier, with heavy, wrecking monsoons. First, drought made it hard to grow enough rice. Then the monsoon crashed in, broke the banks, and dropped dirt everywhere you didn't want it. They kept trying to repair things, but there wasn't enough food or people left to fix it all. When the waterways inside Angkor started to clog up, trade shifted to shiny new ports on the coast, like Ayutthaya and Malacca. These places had fewer water problems, and pirates were just getting started there. Around the same time, armies from Siam came, but by then Angkor's system was already falling apart. Even the royal court left for Phnom Penh to get away from the floods. The huge old city broke down, but Khmer people just moved and started over somewhere else. The stickman crowd moved again, this time because the water plan failed. Let's blast through two big stories about old North American cities falling apart. First up, the ancestral Puebloans at Chaco. They built huge houses and big gathering spots. Things were great until bad droughts hit and way too many people needed food. Then people started fighting, towns emptied out, and families moved to smaller pueblos by the Rio Grande. Now, look at Cahokia. They built huge dirt mounds, tall wooden circles, and a busy main area. Then the weather got weird, the land got used up, and big trade stopped coming in. Riots started, fires broke out, and the city broke down into small farms again. Still, the families who came after kept their parties and festivals alive, just in a new place. So the culture didn't end, it just changed and moved. People sometimes think a whole city just disappears in a day. You see ruins now and wonder, where did everyone go? But that's not how it works. Cities don't empty out like flipping a light switch. It's more like people try to fix problems until they get fed up. You might stop seeing big temples and shiny stuff, but regular folks usually just leave for a better spot. They carry what matters, like family recipes or tools, and start fresh somewhere else. Over time, new groups form, their words and families mix together, and the old city becomes just another part of history. Archaeologists call it silence when they stop finding big stones or seal marks from taxes. But that just means people stopped making things in that spot, not that they turned into dust. The city's important people lose their power, but everyday things like soup recipes and farming tricks get passed on. The lesson? If the palace disappears, that doesn't mean all the people are gone too. So, what actually takes down a civilization's way of running things? Think about it like 5 dominoes knocking each other over. Here's the stick figure version. First, there's a big shock. Maybe a drought, a huge flood, or your main trading buddy goes broke. Suddenly, food gets hard to find. Your storage barns sound empty, kind of like a bank account with nothing in it. Second, your harvest or trade falls apart. Bananas run low, there's not much bronze, and nobody is buying pretty blue jewelry. Officials start to panic. Their plans switch from building big temples to just trying to keep people from rioting. Third, you get squeezed for money. Without enough stuff to go around, the city can't pay workers, throw parties, or give gifts to the gods. People at home start complaining. Even the king's pet falcon starts to look upset. Fourth, leaders start to lose control. If people stop trusting the boss, guards might start stealing, bandits might try to take over, and the whole city feels close to a complete disaster. Fifth, there's fighting or everyone leaves. Maybe it's small farm groups, wild gangs, or just huge groups moving out. For places like Sumer or Cahokia, it's like turning everything off and leaving the giant buildings behind as strange playgrounds. And here's what really speeds this up, when a culture puts all its eggs in one basket. If they only grow one thing or believe in one big answer, they get weak. So when the first domino falls, the rest go down fast. If you want to last, save some grain, try different jobs and hobbies, welcome newcomers, and keep a plan ready for tough times. That's the stick figure rescue plan. Keep those 5 dominoes from lining up for a crash. Now skip ahead to today. Pre-war Syria, a huge drought pushes folks out of the countryside. Then, war makes it worse. In big cities now, a problem in shipping, a drought, or a wild election and 3 dominoes can fall at once. Here's the truth. Civilizations don't just vanish in thin air. They fail because they run out of backup ideas. Stay flexible so you won't have to snap. People still forget this old trick.